The film that I have made, titled Dysphorique, Fleeing Womanhood Like a House on Fire, is a 4-part documentary series on the rise of gender identity ideology that is basically affecting girls and women in particular, and a little bit of a focus on how this gender identity ideology is going to largely damage women and girls in developing countries, global south. So it's a documentary that has speakers that include experts in the field, people that have transitioned, people who have detransitioned, doctors, experts, sociologists, academicians, feminists, to give a sort of a thorough, wholesome, holistic outlook about the situation that is in hand. To be honest, I had named it first Not My Cup of Tea. Tea as in the alphabet T. That means testosterone. I really liked that title. And in the process of editing, I realized that something about that title just did not fit to the film. Because the seriousness and compassion with which all the speakers were talking, the title Not My Cup of Tea somehow took away from it, I thought. So I was hoping that, people would, even those that are not exactly politically leaning like me, would be interested in watching it. Just give it a shot. But then I also had to sort of imply that this film is specifically about girls and women. So I decided that I will use that subtitle, which is also a little bit of an influence from Abigail Shrier's book, where she mentioned that it seems as if girls are running away from womanhood as if their house is on fire. Yes and no, because the people that you see in the film are already people that are outspoken about this. It was easier for me to tell them to speak at yet another audiovisual medium because they already have. The challenge was to get them to trust me. It started with 1 or 2 people who knew me because I have been in this political scene a little bit publicly, more openly, because of my previous film that got cancelled. I have written extensively about it. So a few people are familiar that I'm in this fight and I want to do good. So when I got one person, then getting another person was easier. And then I got 2 of them, and then getting the third one was easier. Some of them were a little difficult in the sense the detransitioners. I would have preferred to have spoken to many more people from around the world, actually. I did contact a few people in Europe. Some of these people did get back to me at some point, but then it was just too late. I wanted to move on. People just like to talk about it. Everybody is so alarmed and afraid about what's going to happen. Regarding the cancellation and the fear of speaking out, a lot of people couldn't speak in the film. I couldn't include them in the film because they were worried about their job, their academic positions, and they opted to be anonymous, but I decided I will not do that. So back when I had made my film, the previous film, it got cancelled. It was supposed to be screened in New York. It got cancelled, and I wrote about it and everything. And I shared my experience about it on Twitter, and there was a lot of trolling and harassment, and a lot of abuse and rape threats, the usual package. So I noticed that Indian teenagers, with all their anime profile pictures and everything, were behaving in a sort of a way that exactly how the Americans and the English kids were behaving. Okay? And I found that to be extremely intriguing because if they understand queer theory from the West, they probably understand abuse from the West as well. I noticed that this abuse and vitriol online was also dramatically similar. Even the images that they use or the GIFs that they use, those things that says punch the turfs, or things like that. It was a literal carbon copy of the way, say, for example, Julie Bindel would get trolled, or Megan Murphy, or Helen Joyce, or all of those really remarkable women, Jane Clare Jones, all of them. So I basically wanted to make a film where I'm trying to say that something that's going on in the West, especially in the US and the UK, how it sort of gets translated into our system. And in my mind, subconsciously, I also wanted Indians to sort of watch it and subconsciously realize we're getting there in about 5-6 years. We're getting to where US is right now in about 5 to 6 years, or maybe sooner, depending on how crazy things are getting sped up now. So that's basically the reason. And also, that's the hub. US and UK is the hub to this whole gender cult behavior, if you will. So it made sense for me to speak to them and explain what is going on in a way that it eventually connects back to women like me. It sounds really stupid. It does date back a long time ago. I don't deny that. But these are homosexual, transsexual men. Some of them cross-dress. Some of them have sort of gotten into this whole thing due to other reasons like poverty, illiteracy, because they won't be accepted as a homosexual person in a society that we live in a homophobic country like India. They have a very, very dark, devious, dangerous past. Some of them are trans-identifying now, but these are eunuchs who have had chemical castration done to them by choice, or sometimes not by choice, most times not by choice. And some of these are also part of a huge mafia where really young boys, slightly effeminate looking, are forcefully taken away from families and are kept in a sort of a brothel for homosexual older men, where they perform, where they offer sexual favors, and they are also chemically castrated. So they have been emasculated and forcefully kept in these spaces so that they can continue to do this. And then because they don't have a choice to go outside, they have to rely upon this. So they just keep the cycle going. And what happens eventually is somebody who is in this will then be tempted to become the boss and hire more young boys into this trade. So it's like an endless cycle. It's like the prostitute becomes the pimp. And families are willing because, India has an explosion of population. So if they have about 7-8 children, and if somebody just walks up to them and says, give your son to us, we're going to give him some job, we're going to take care of him, he's going to send you money. The young one has to provide money to the guru on a daily basis. How do they do it? They do prostitution and they beg. Now, you're an adult, and you're a guy, and I'm least bothered about your life choices. But by doing prostitution, they're normalizing this industry, therefore making it difficult for so many women who have been trafficked, impossible to get out of. What they have done is a perverse utilization of a very, very horrible history. What they're doing now is they're making sure that these people can never get out of this, by claiming that they're also trans. We are not able to look at them as a separate community to help them exclusively. It's dangerous. They shouldn't do it. If you try and tell me 10 years ago that something like this is going to happen 10 years from now, I would not have believed you at all. I would think, well, people are not that stupid. They will be able to tell they can live their life however they want, but nobody's going to say that a man is a literal woman. And there are no two defining words to tell between gender and sex. Okay? It's conflated. We don't have two separate words for gender and sex. It's one word. But what these people are doing, where they mean sex, they actually refer to it gender identity. The fact that it is so complicated and very convoluted, it works in their benefit. So what they're doing is they're having all these organizations giving them lots of money to do what is called as, corporate social responsibility by going to schools and educating children about gender. And who is at the forefront of this gender studies? Trans women. There is no question of gay and lesbian. There is no question about the position of feminism in gay rights. There is no question of how difficult it is for women in India in the first place. Then you can imagine how grave it is for lesbians in India in the first place. None of these things are discussed. Okay? Trans women are women. Okay? And if you ask them all these questions, there is no way to have a civil conversation with them about this. So I have had a lot of people just cut me out completely. No reasoning, no dialogue whatsoever. Just clean cut out of this whole thing. And I realize it makes sense because people are smart. Okay, they know where money is and they are totally capitalizing on it. So I'm the outlier. I'm an idiot because I don't know how to make money or, make my life better or something like that. So I'm the idiot. I don't.
No.
No Indian organization will support me. Even if they do, it would probably be for something really superficial. Some of these women, they are part of some organization. They've written some really happy, nice things to me. And then immediately after that, there's some really nasty, horrible message asking me to go die and stuff like that. One woman said that she's ashamed to have worked with me. And I will tell you for what. I single-handedly lifted a ban of sale of emergency contraceptive pills in my state. They were not willing to sell it because it's against our culture. Mm-hmm. So I wrote a petition, spoke to the state drug control director. We lifted the ban. I lifted the ban. There were a lot of people applauding me and saying, oh, you have no idea what a favor this is for women and things like that. All those women turned against me. How can you, with the same breath, talk about having reproductive freedom and at the same time believe men are women? How is it possible that you can feel these two polarized things with that amount of conviction at the same time? On social media, all these people will send me DMs, will call me and ask me for favors, and ask me to, edit something, do some video for them. I'll be happy, very happy, even now. All these people, even all the people that call me names, I'm happy to help them. But they will never, ever publicly say that XYZ organization, thank you, Vaishnavi, for helping me with this video. Never, ever. I just hope that this film gives them something, even to just take a moment to think about. There is a huge problem with the conflation of the word gender and sex. And after that case happened in Bombay, I really can sense the urgency now. So I don't want to let this moment abate. On Instagram, I found out when the film released, some girls, really young girls, still in school, maybe in college, wrote to me saying, I didn't even know that there was another radical feminist in India. Thank you for making this film and things like that. It's the invisible things that the film will achieve that I'm really hopeful for. It's like these little things, that people that don't tell you anything, people that just know that there is another person in this country who feels exactly like they do, and that's enough for them. That's enough. If they do get in touch and if they do want to organize, do activist stuff, great. But I think it's enough that they are finding merit in radical feminism in the first place. For me, that's a big start in itself, and at such young age, right? Mm-hmm. I wasn't aware of radical feminism. Okay, all I was aware of was all this woke, smash the patriarchy, and trans women are women, sex work is work, hijab is a choice, and all of those things. And coming from a conservative home, this seemed like a radical change for me, to say, no, I will wear whatever I want. No, I will not shave my legs. No, if it's okay if I put on a little weight. All of those things at that time seemed like, my God, I am I am the feminist icon of the world or something like that, okay? But gradually you start finding frictions, in all their ideological positions. And I founded a community for female filmmakers 5, 6, 7 years ago, I don't remember. And in that, I had written about the community is for women and those who identify as women, okay? And a friend of mine just asked me, do you mean men? And something went off in my head, okay? Because, of course, I meant men, but I don't want men in my community, and I know that. So then my life basically just like turned upside down, and there was a time when I refused to get out of the house and I was just reading and reading and reading. So there are texts from obviously Andrea Dworkin and Sheila Jeffries, and there is this book by Susan Brownmiller about concept of rape against our will, it's called. That really troubled me. I had sleepless nights reading it. There is this amazing organization in the UK called the Women's Human Rights Campaign, where they have created a declaration where people can sign it, and they're using it to lobby the UN and things like that. I offered to be the country contact for India, and I am still. So working with them, again, opened up a lot of avenues for me to get like a first row access to radical feminism around the world. I obviously lost a lot of friends, and all of that happened for sure. But that's just a occupational hazard, I guess. You move on. And in future, I don't know. Maybe things can get out of hand, things can get dangerous. But I don't suppose even then I will have any reluctance in calling myself who I am. This is my truth. There is no other bigger pleasure than being true to yourself. And it doesn't matter if you don't have money, if you don't have friends, if you don't have family. It really doesn't matter. I shouldn't be saying it, but I think you can really sleep well at night if you are able to speak your truth.